Hey everybody, it's Jeff from the Overwatch team again. Happy to be doing another one of these developer updates. We thought we'd take a different angle this time and talk a little bit about what's coming up after the holiday break for us and a little bit of why, what we're doing is going to be relevant. So just to back up a little bit, we've heard a lot of requests for some sort of progression or reward system in the game. And it's something we're very eager to get to. And sort of the irony, some of you know this, some of you don't, but the irony is that we've actually had 2 progression and reward systems in Overwatch already, and we've cut them completely. They were total failures. So I thought one of the things that might be interesting is to tell you guys a little bit about what we did in the past and why it failed, so you'll know when we get to our new system next year why we sort of went in the direction that we did. So the first system that we tried was really interesting. It was very similar to like a WoW talent system or a Heroes of the Storm talent system where you would customize your hero. So what would happen is you would play somebody, let's say like Reaper, and level Reaper up. And as you leveled up, we would unlock different abilities for you to take. And then you'd go into combat and you'd be able to do different things with Reaper. So one of the examples we had is when he went into Wraith form, he would heal to full. So I know some of you are probably shocked, like, wow, that sounds super powerful and broken and imbalanced. And like I said, we scrapped the system for that reason. Basically, what we were learning about Overwatch early on was, as much as everybody has this fantasy of, I want to customize my character in terms of gameplay, Overwatch plays and moves very quickly, and there's a lot of information to sort of take into account. If you look at a game like Heroes of the Storm, sometimes, you only have to worry about 5 heroes at once, knowing what they do or who they are and what their abilities are. Or in a worst case scenario in a game like Heroes of the Storm, you only really have to know 10 heroes max what's going on. In Overwatch, you have to have every hero that could possibly be in the game in your mind in a much faster match length. So suddenly having 2 different Reapers on the battlefield, and maybe one is healing to full when he does Wraith form and the other has double distance with his shotguns, was very confusing for players and very overwhelming. So we scrapped the system. We also felt that just player power in general through a progression system, especially when there was some time investment involved, was not good for the competitive nature of Overwatch. So that was system number 1 that failed and we took out. We talked about it a little bit at BlizzCon in 2014, for those of you that remember. Then we went down another path, and when I describe this to you, you're going to say in hindsight, like, of course, that's obvious. You guys should have never put it in there in the first place, but it wasn't really obvious to us until we had put the system in and felt it. So the second system we explored had nothing to do with player power. We wanted to focus entirely on cosmetic rewards, which I'll touch on a little bit later. But what we did was we created a system where each hero had a level. There was a level per hero, and the more you played matches, the more you would level up, and wins were worth more EXP than losses, and there was certain ways to gain more EXP. And as you leveled up a hero, like let's take Tracer for example, maybe at level 2 you would unlock some cosmetic stuff, and then at level 3 you'd unlock more, and so on. And the heroes capped out at level 20 in this system. It was cool and it was fun, but we had this live in the Blizzard Alpha, where all of the employees of Blizzard were playing the game, and immediately it went south on us very quickly. So we would have these cases of, you'd be playing on Temple of Anubis, and your team is pinned down in the Sandcrawler. You can't even get out of the Sandcrawler, and you'd look over at one of your teammates, and they're playing Bastion. They're sieged up inside the spawn room, shooting out the door, and very politely you tell the person, hey dude, maybe we should switch to a class that can get through the choke. And that person they'd even be really reasonable about, like, yeah, you're totally right. It's not right for the team that I'm on Bastion right now, but I'm so close to my next unlock, I don't want to switch off. So the system turned out to be, I would describe it as a minor disaster. The cool part that came out of it was we came up with a lot of really compelling cosmetic stuff that, like, we had really good rewards for it that the Blizzard employees were very excited about. And I'm going to leave some of those a little bit of a mystery for you because I'd rather you see them in person. Some of them, there's already been hints out on the internet, like people, data mine the build and they saw stuff like our sprays, which I think are really cool. There are these awesome emblems that you can unlock, and you can put them actually in the 3D space in the level, sort of show off things that you had done. So those were part of the system, but we had a lot of other really, really cool stuff as part of that. But we realized that the system was encouraging the wrong behavior in a game that's about fluid team composition and hero swapping, that a system that overly rewarded you sticking on one character was just bad and wrong. So what we want to do when we've now taken the game down, it's no longer up. The beta is going to come back hopefully mid-January to late January. If the game's not in a state that we're happy with, it might take even longer than that. We might spill into February if needed. But what we want to do is introduce a new progression system that doesn't overly reward people hanging on one hero. Like sometimes it's okay to reward that behavior. We know that there's a lot of you who have your main and you really enjoy playing that one character. And we don't want you to feel bad or wrong about doing that either. But we also don't want to overly reward that type of thing with a progression or reward system. I had a really interesting conversation with Tom Chilton, who is the game director on World of Warcraft, and he made some awesome points when talking about progression in Overwatch. We were talking about World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Overwatch, and Tom sort of said, in games like World of Warcraft and Diablo, in a lot of ways, those games are about progression, whether it be through the character leveling, the character power, or the item acquisition. It's the main motivating factor. But unless your game is inherently about progression, you want to be careful to make sure not to overly focus players on progression as the end-all, be-all. And that's how we feel about Overwatch. We feel like we would like the progression system to be light, cosmetic, and almost the way of the game thanking you for your time in it, saying like, hey, it's cool. We know you've invested some time in Overwatch, so we want to give you these light rewards that don't overly skew the way that you play the game in one way or another. Your motivation for playing Overwatch should be that it's a fun, competitive multiplayer shooter, not that you're trying to get more powerful or acquire a bunch of items. So we're probably going to take a different route with the Overwatch progression system when we get back to it. We're going to use the time off. We already have ideas of what we want to try, and we're going to use the time between now and end of January to explore a bunch of stuff internally again, because we'll learn a lot very quickly just, trying ideas out in the game, seeing how they come to fruition, and then if we feel really good about them, then we'll bring the beta back up and we'll introduce this system to you guys. So I look forward to hopefully next time talking in more specifics about what we are doing. But I thought it would be helpful for you to understand, why we're exploring these different routes with progression and what sort of went wrong in the past. So when you see the new system, you understand how we got there. Anyway, thanks as always for all the feedback and comments. We'd love to hear what you guys think about rewards, what you guys think about progression systems. And we really hope that you guys have a great winter break, and we'll see you soon, probably in January.